So, all this time in Genshin and no one knows what Paimon is. We've encountered creatures, beings, and people of various walks of life and various ages, all along our journey as of 4.1's update. None of them seem to know what she is. So, Amber called Paimon a mascot. Xiangling and many NPCs ask if she's some kind of food. Then, Albedo asked if Paimon is an external organ of the travelers. Some overworld NPCs have called her a white-haired talking fairy. Some quest-locked Fatui NPCs have called her a Seelie. But we've encountered older beings who have seen real ones, and even told us about them, and they never made mention of how this is knowledge Paimon should already know, nor did they say Paimon is a Seelie. Meaning, she can't be a Seelie. And finally, even elemental beings as old as the dragon sovereigns have no idea what Paimon is. What is she then? She has a demon name like all the gods tend to have. Barbados, Morex, Beelzebul, Baal, Buer, Fozeler, Istaroth, Orobashi, Nabirius, Marcosias, and Decarabian. They come from the Ars Goetia, and if we take that into account, then her namesake could be a hint. Fozeler was known to drown people on ships, and Buer dealt with philosophy and logic, and loved using plants. It's not too far-fetched. Paimon is a direct servant to Lucifer, the morning star. Paimon is knowledgeable and is often depicted sharing vast knowledge and teaching others. Supposedly, he knows all the affairs of the world and must answer truthfully when asked questions. Paimon's role in Genshin is to be a guide for the traveler, who travels the cosmos as a star, and she is the one who taught them Teyvat's common language in under 2 months. She's taught them much more according to their joint character voice lines. It seems to be a common theory that the traveler is actually from Teyvat and is just returning after a very long time away. Ashikai, the fandom's best lore enthusiast and theorist, suggested them to be an old user logging into their account after a very long time away. That would explain how they have no constellation or alignment prior to touching a statue of the Seven, but the moment they do, it stutters to life with a heartbeat and suddenly gifts them a constellation. Statues of the Seven are connected to the ley lines, which are connected to Irminsul, which holds all the knowledge and memories of Teyvat. So, the moment the traveler signed in, the knowledge receptacle of Teyvat recognized them to an extent. We know the sibling is considered to be from Teyvat somehow, so it's likely that the traveler is also from Teyvat, but their account's data has been lost or wiped. This theory is pretty solid, and I like the idea a lot. So, I build off of it for this theory. The traveler awakens after losing their sibling to the sustainer of heavenly principles and has no idea what is going on. They don't know what's been happening this entire time, and it's when they meet Paimon that they finally get information. So, my idea is that Paimon isn't actually a real being herself. She's not the primordial one with stripped memories. She's not the sustainer of heavenly principles in disguise. She isn't a Seelie who fell from the heavens and forgot her origins. She isn't the remaining moon sister who forgot everything after using up her powers. I think she's just a manifestation of the traveler's desperation. The traveler can wield the elements of this foreign world they've apparently never been to, and even knew exactly how to do so from the very beginning. Even has a line telling Paimon that they know why and how that is possible, but never explains it for the player. And Paimon just accepts that answer and moves on. This entire time playing, Paimon's being has come up many times, and we always end up saying or hearing, Paimon is Paimon. As if that's a good enough answer, but between the duo it apparently is, no explanation needed. And we know that the traveler has a lot of information they keep to themselves and don't bother sharing. Such as their knowledge of Conria and actually being around when it got destroyed. This could just be another thing they keep to themselves. I think Albedo was the closest out of all who questioned Paimon's existence. She isn't exactly an external organ of the travelers, but I think she's like a tulpa. I think the traveler manifested Paimon through sheer desperation of not knowing what to do or where to go, and the ley lines responded by gathering all the necessary memories and knowledge they could, as quickly as possible, and gave it a form that the traveler would instinctively trust. The traveler is great with kids after all. Paimon has never said anything about where she came from prior to meeting the traveler, even during deeply personal moments. At most, we know she was suddenly drowning and then the traveler fished her out. But how was she drowning right where the traveler was fishing, and the traveler never saw her approach? We do know that the withering barely affected Paimon at all, much like the traveler. When the traveler gained the ability to manipulate Dendro, they got additional abilities, and Paimon somehow also gained the heightened sensitivity to the Dendro element. Enough for the 168-day samsara to finally wear off, enough for not just the traveler, but Paimon as well, to awaken from the cycle and break free of it. Nahida personally notes both of them were given the blessing of Dendro. Finally, when the traveler gained the ability to manipulate the hydro element, Paimon also gained the ability to breathe and speak underwater and swim infinitely in Fontaine, despite how she supposedly cannot swim. Paimon benefits directly when the traveler's powers improve/increase/strengthen. She gets a special sensitive constitution simply because the traveler does. The traveler touched the Dendro statue of the Seven, but somehow Paimon also received a blessing? And the same happened when resonating with the hydro statue of the Seven? Suspicious how that works. Often, the traveler and Paimon will have entirely silent conversations with each other in voiced quests, where they step back and simply stare at each other. Thoughts are written in parentheses in Genshin, and many times have they communicated full sentences this way while others around them talk out loud. Maybe it's just a joke to show how well they know each other that they can have silent conversations with ease, but we simply cannot rule out the possibility that they might be linked somehow. Let's not forget how Paimon is often the voice of everything. She is rarely in opposition to what the traveler wants, believes, or thinks. In fact, Linny at the end of Fontaine's Archon Quest Act 1 might be the first time in the game where Paimon and the traveler had drastically different opinions. Paimon wanted to stay and talk with Linny and Lynette, and the traveler just walked off without looking back because they were angry. Even Paimon was shocked by that response. It's just so weird how they gave the traveler such an in-depth character but hide it all in their character voice lines, that they share with Paimon, by the way. What would be the point of keeping the traveler silent most of the time? Unless there is a reason Paimon has to be the voice, because the traveler is no self-insert. With how this fandom whines about their reactions to situations and their responses, no one here is putting themselves in the traveler's shoes. Paimon is closely connected to the traveler, and panics when they separate for too long. She's been traumatized several times now by separation. She needs to speak for the traveler. She exists to be the guide for the traveler. She can't imagine her life any other way. It feels more like the ley lines just responded to the traveler's intense emotions upon waking up in a strange world, and sent something along to answer those emotions. Like an imaginary friend, but more concrete in existence. As a side note here, I made this originally as a Tumblr post on October 17th, before the 4.2 live stream. On November 3rd, I went back to add details in a reblog because the new boss for Furina is literally a Hydro Tulpa. Tulpas exist in the Genshin canon. My theory holds even more weight as a result. At the end of the day, it's just a theory, and it required the existence of another theory for me to even think of it. So props to Ashikai for having such great thoughts and then sharing them with all of us.